Good morning, everyone. I'm Jonathan Chevalier, the CEO of Charity Digital, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our 2024 Digital Fundraising Summit. We first started running these events in 2019, before virtual events were really a thing, and I've been delighted to see this event go from strength to strength, benefiting thousands of charity fundraisers. And with the challenging financial environment most of us are now operating in as charities, where we're seeing governmental and other commission contracts in short supply, the funding and those contracts maybe hasn't kept up with the costs of delivering them, and we're seeing demand typically outstretching what we can actually supply through those contracts. Fundraising is really playing a more and more important role in sustaining impact. And I know that many of you out there are doing a really fantastic job already in fundraising. So today's agenda is designed to be forward-looking and to look at how you can maybe achieve even more, push on that little bit more and really help your charities to therefore have more impact still. We're starting with our keynote, which is looking at the role AI can play. I know that many fundraisers are already looking at or using AI, so this is an incredibly timely topic. Then across the rest of the day, we've 12 sessions exploring topics as broad as crowdfunding, the use of social media, the role of video, and then gaming, which we've obviously all seen grow massively over recent years and is really particularly resonant with younger audiences. And then we've got donor journeys, and we're going to be looking at both in-person and virtual events. So we've got a really strong agenda, and with some fantastic speakers from many organisations. We've got well-known charities such as British Red Cross, Parkinson's and Battersea, but we've also got some smaller charities who are also doing a really fantastic job. So you can learn from all of those. And I want to thank all of the speakers who've given their time today. They'll be providing some really fantastic insights. I also want to thank my staff who worked really hard to put together an exciting event, and our sponsors, Salesforce, Buffalo, iRaiser, Fundraising, MLI, GoDonate, Microsoft, and Public Interest Registry. Without their support, events like today just can't go ahead. So I'll hand over now to Lisa Chamet, the Charity Digital Head of Partnerships, who will be the host for the first session. I hope to see some of you more later in the day, where I'm going to be hosting a panel as well. And I hope you all have a wonderful time. Thank you.
Hello and good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome to our 6th edition of the Digital Fundraising Summit. As Jonathan said, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm Lisa Chamet. I'll be your host for today's session in stream number 2. And whilst we're waiting for others to join, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box and let us know where you're joining us from today. I'm joining from our offices in London. I'm delighted to welcome our very first speaker for today's keynote session, and it's from our great partner, Salesforce. They also have a profile if you want to check it out, and they're going to tell us all about AI and how it can help our charities. Obviously, Patrick Frank, for those of you who have attended some of our events, you might be familiar with him. He's the AI and data expert and a marketing cloud leader for nonprofit at Salesforce. Before I hand over to Patrick, I will go over a few house rules for today. So the session and all sessions are being recorded. They will be uploaded to watch on demand at a later date. The slides, other resources will also be made available. Please ask a lot of questions in the Q&A section, and we will take time to review them 5 to 10 minutes before the end of the presentation. So you can also upvote your favorite question by clicking on the thumbs up button. If there are any sound or image issues, please let us know in the chat section, and the tech team will be on it, and we'll do our very best to be back. For audio description purposes, so obviously, I said my name is Lisa. I'm a 33-year-old Black woman with black hair, and I'm wearing a Charity Digital t-shirt. So without further ado, let me hand over to Patrick. A very warm welcome to you, Patrick.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I really appreciate you, Jonathan, welcoming us and welcoming me into the session today to deliver the keynote. So hopefully everybody can see my screen. As a manner of introduction, my name is Patrick Frank. My accent may not give away the fact that I am London-based and have been for quite a long time. About the only thing left from 17 years of living here before since moving from the States is my accent. But I am the director of the digital team for Salesforce for nonprofits and NGOs in EMEA, which is a very fancy way of saying I work with organizations, nonprofits, NGOs all over EMEA on their digital strategy, whether that is how they engage with their supporters or their constituents or their donors or their petition signees, and how they drive those relationships forward using all the digital tools that are out there at your disposal. So today, I'm going to briefly talk you through a few ideas with a focus on AI. And the way I want to frame this is I want to leave you with a few ways that you can start to really put some substance to the AI conversations. Because what I see a lot in the marketplace today is a lot of very general AI is amazing and it's going to do everything for you. I want to make this a bit more real. I want to help you frame those conversations and then actually take a peek ahead at what we're doing on our side as we see what the next wave is for AI for nonprofits. So this slide is obligatory. I have to show this in every Salesforce presentation. This is what's called our forward-looking statement, and it is very much an eye chart. But what this essentially says is that I will talk about all the things that we do today, but I'm also going to talk about things that are coming. But any decisions you ever make, and this is true obviously of any organization, but any decisions you make should be based on the things that are available today. So with that, all the legality out of the way, I'm going to jump right into the substance. So first of all, thank you, Charity Digital, for having us, for giving us the time to speak with you today. And thank you to all of you out there that are doing what you do to create impact in a myriad of ways. As a bit of background, I have the best job inside Salesforce. In my 11 years in the organization, I've spent 5 working with nonprofits and NGOs. So since 2019, just before COVID, is when I came over and really began this focus. And to say it's humbling is an understatement. I get the privilege of leading a team that's focused only on organizations like yours. And our goal is to help in any way we can, whether that be with our technology or with education or even with our own volunteering efforts, whatever we can do to help further what you do. Just being a small part of that is tremendously a source of pride and humility for us. So thank you. Thanks for taking your time out of your day to be here to speak with us and to interact with us. And I hope this is a good use of your time. So AI, you throw a rock and you're bound to hit someone like me talking to you about AI and how, huge rhetoric. We're in an AI revolution. The truth of it is, and I come from a digital marketing background, so I tend to try to see through these things for what they are, but it is a huge shift that we're seeing. And the innovations are coming faster and faster and faster. And I would venture a guess that in a lot of your organizations, there's a lot of, people using ChatGPT to write grant proposals or emails and using other tools to more efficiently do their work. But that brings with it a lot of challenges and a lot of risks. But the thing is, within Salesforce, we've been at this for some time. We have a long history of helping organizations transform with AI. Now, for a bit of history, we started in this first wave, which was predictive AI with Salesforce Einstein, which some of you may be using. Now, we knew all the way back in 2014 that AI was going to change the relationship between organizations and their supporters, and also between organizations and what I would call the gold dust of any charitable organization, which are the smart people working for you that are working on that mission for that impact. Now, we established at that time an in-house research team that has really helped pioneer how AI is integrated into our CRM, and we've launched Einstein, which now integrates across our entire technology stack. And Einstein's driven some amazing results for our customers. They've helped us, our customers serve their communities smarter and engage smarter, which really is the name of the game. Now, last year, we entered into what we call Wave 2, which is generative AI, and that was with the release of our own GPT products. Now, GPT has been around for a few years, but you might not know that Salesforce researchers published some of the very first papers on things like prompt engineering and generative AI. And we're already seeing incredible productivity and a range of new capabilities through our platforms, things like donor insights and campaign summaries and briefings. But now we're rapidly entering into this new wave of AI. Very soon, what you're going to see, if you're not seeing it already, are autonomous agents They're going to be able to communicate with each other and do tasks for you, helping your teams work more efficiently and helping the people you serve have extraordinary experiences with your organization. Now, we're already launching some of these agent-driven experiences already, and I'll talk a little bit about that at the very end. But the idea here is that as we move through these technology waves, data and the tools needed to harness the best from that data are going to become more important to your organizations than ever before. And this is where we're hoping we can help you to seize this potential of AI. Now, the trick is that all sounds really great. It sounds, amazing that let's do all this great stuff, but there's a challenge here. And the challenge is that we have a gulf between what the people we support expect and what our teams are able to deliver. And this makes perfect sense. Anyone in today's session with a smartphone has firsthand experience with the immediacy and the accuracy that they expect in each interaction across every app on your screen or every organization that you engage with. We expect our next day delivery. We notice when an email is one size fits all, or when we get a social ad for a donation that we've already made. But at the same time, we have our teams, many of whom I would presume joined your organizations with a desire to play a key role in the mission, only to be bogged down with admin and limitations, keeping them distant from the end impact that they're trying to be a part of. Now, according to our most recent nonprofit trends report, which I'll share with you later, 41% of teams' time within nonprofits is lost to low value and repetitive tasks. In fact, the number one challenge that came out of the nonprofit survey of over 1,000 respondents was managing workload and staff well-being. Again, that's the gold dust of your organization. So that's where we want to spend some time thoughtfully looking into your strategy to see where we can help. So the title of my presentation had to do with AI readiness, but what does that actually mean? AI readiness refers to an organization's preparedness and capacity to adopt AI technologies in its operations. It really is, where does the rubber meet the road? How do we actually do this? Now, from that survey I talked about, we had over 1,000 respondents, and there's a lot of curiosity and openness out there to learn. But there's also a lot of caution and a lot of questions about how these AI tools can be used in the sector. And this is absolutely spot on. It is prudent and a great way to approach AI so that you can get the best from it safely. Now, I'm not going to go through every number on this slide, but we can share, obviously, this full report with everyone. But there's 56% of the respondents are on the positive side of this AI sentiment scale, ranging from already using it to exploring it. And another 22% are curious about it, and they're actively looking at it in their organizations. Now, while nonprofits see many potential opportunities, there's a lot of concerns forming a barrier to using it. Chief among those are things like data security and privacy. Now, there was a 2022 report from Cisco that said that 60% of consumers are concerned about how organizations are using their personal data today. And that kind of safeguarding, while if you're in a commercial enterprise, that is a serious concern. If you're in a nonprofit focused on a myriad of different, impact missions, that's huge. If a supporter doesn't feel their data is safe with you, that will have a ripple effect that could severely damage what you're doing. So the concern is very real, and being prudent and taking a pragmatic approach to these tools is absolutely essential. One of the facts and statistics that came out of this report that I think is actually really important to also include here is that 37% of the respondents are worried about the loss of human expertise and job displacement. There's a lot of conversation I've had with individuals and organizations coming and saying, is this going to force me to get rid of some of my staff? How do we, keep the human element of what we do if we're just going to put technology in place? This is absolutely a valid concern, and one that we address quite directly. In fact, I'll refute that worry with some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. But overall, 89% of nonprofit professionals believe that AI can make their organizations more efficient. So where is the starting place to unlock that value? The question is your nonprofit AI ready? But for today, to get even more closer to the bone, are you ready? Like, how are you going to just get started to really think about how this frames in your organization? And that's where I want to bring you through this AI readiness framework. Now, this is a very simple tool that I use in workshops with my team, with nonprofits, to really start to map out within specific organizations where this stuff can go. So let me take you through this. Now, first of all, let's focus our expectations. AI is not, for any sci-fi fans out there, it's not Skynet. It is not there to do everything and anything, including make dinner for you at the end of the night. It is a tool that you have to direct at a very specific purpose. I mean, I love the cartoonist here, so that cartoon probably sums it up better than I can. But the idea here is I see AI as like electricity running through your technology, being used for very specific functions. And so that's where we want to start here. Now, when I think of how this can impact an organization, I think of it from one of two pillars. First, how can we work faster through automation to increase efficiency and hopefully cut costs? Second, how can we work smarter through augmentation to increase productivity and add capacity, allowing our people to focus on what matters, which is human care, and ultimately improving outcomes? Now, if we do those two things well, if all these solutions help you to do are those two things, the hope is that they're helping you cut your costs, but also free your team to really do the amazing work that they can do. And that will hopefully lead to improved outcomes. But that's just the hope. That's the ambition behind this. What's the model? So what you see on screen is a typical XY graph, XY axis. Along the x-axis, you see the organizational impact. And along the y-axis, you would see the cognitive load, the brain power that it would take to do anything. And what I like to do is work with organizations to plot all the areas that we can think of where AI might be able to help on this graph. And I think it really brings to light some startling realizations about the way our teams work. Now, in the upper right-hand corner, this is the space where we're at our most productive and effective. It's where we build relationships, we exercise creative thinking, complex problem solving. It's where we innovate. We're in a flow state. And these are all areas that people are uniquely great at. And this is where we want that amazing group of people working in your organizations, spending their brain power, spending as much of their time as they can. Now, I know there's a chat in here, so please feel free to add in if anybody wants to venture a guess, but I'd love to get a guess of how much time the average person on your team you think spends in that upper right-hand corner. So I'll pause for 2 seconds and then I'll reveal the answer. It may allow for a few chats to come in. If it doesn't, no worries. I can't see the chats right now, but 5%, less than 5% of time is spent in that upper area. That means every other bit of time is spent in those two boxes there. But imagine if we could put more than 5% of our time in that upper right-hand corner. There's a McKinsey report that I cite here, which said that if you could, workplace productivity would almost double if you could bump that up to 20%. 20% is 1 day a week. If each person on your team had 1 day a week, their productivity would double for whatever it is they're driving at in terms of their role within your organization. They had more time innovating, problem solving, building deeper relationships, doing that work that really people do best. But the reality is we don't spend our time in those areas. High cognitive load with little business impact feels like hard work with little return. It's exhaustion without any real ROI. And low cognitive load, even if there's a high business impact, that lower part of the graph feels boring. It can feel like a waste of time. And if our people are spending more than 95% of their time in those places, then you're worried about people leaving, people burning out, people not feeling that they're there for the reason that brought them there in the first place. And this is where we want to lift people up. We really want this technology, if it does nothing else, should help you raise those people up. And when I say this not just as a Salesforce person. I say that any technology solution that you consider should serve this purpose. It should serve the purpose to help people augment the things that they do or automate the things that they do, so it gives them more time to focus in on the really important pieces. So whether that is responding to donor questions or creating emails and landing pages and reports, things like onboarding new volunteers or creating care plans. These are all things that, if you have the right systems in place, can speed through those things and allow people to have more time and ability to really maximize what they're doing, to accelerate their potential and accelerate what you're trying to do as an organization. Now, our customers who do this well really see that unlock of potential amongst their people, and it allows them to effectively adapt and grow, because with more time to focus in that upper right-hand side, there's more opportunity to look at other ways in which we can develop and we can grow and we can scale. Now, Once we've gone ahead and mapped all those use cases on a graph like this with an organization, we get into this idea of, well, okay, great, now what? How do we actually take this forward? It's great that I can see where it could help. Well, this is where someone like myself or someone from our team or even your own teams, what I would suggest is you look at this idea of these strategic steps to success. And this really creates the plan around bringing these things to life. So first, you would identify and prioritize those initiatives with a graph like that and with all the business goals associated to address high impact, low risk use cases. Second, you want to engage with your leadership to understand the benefits and the challenges of AI, build that strong business case so you can get their support on the project. Third, you want to ensure access to data. And this is really important. Data, we could have an entire hour-long conversation about data practice and data management because it's your data that's the fuel that's going to run AI. Now, unlike something like, say, a ChatGPT or other publicly available AIs out there that are using the broader internet, our view on this is using your data, whether it's structured or unstructured, to really provide the best insight into those conversations you're having with supporters or the ways in which your team is engaging with data. Because anything that you do really should be informed by all the amazing data that you've captured and what you understand about the people that you're helping. Now, alongside building that data practice is really making sure you're skilling up your team, making sure that they are coming along for that ride, that they're getting better and better at each turn. Now, when we get to step 4, that's where you start prototyping and piloting these projects. This is not a switch it on and let it run across everything. You want to validate your assumptions. You want to refine those models. Use an iterative development approach to adapt and improve it constantly. And then finally, and maybe most importantly, we want to establish ethical guidelines and guardrails to guide your use of AI. You want to define those KPIs to track the impact that you're having. You want to foster a culture of responsible innovation and scale these projects across an organization in a safe way. Now, that's a lot of kind of practically how we would approach this from a model, but just to give you a sense of what you can expect that's coming down the road from the AI solutions, at least as we see it and what we're putting out there to help organizations such as yours. I'm going to go back to this slide really quickly because I talked about where we were with predictive and where we've been with generative, but I also talked about where we are now, which is wave 3. This is autonomous AI and agents that are engaging with you in a more holistic and direct way to really drive your organization's success. Now, instead of me talking through as I have been, I'm going to give you a break from my voice, and I'm going to show you a video that talks through a use case of a nonprofit that we're already working with that's using these agents so you can see it in action to get a flavor of how it would work.
In times of crisis, every second counts. Communities devastated by disaster rely on rapid response, and organizations like Good 360 are there to meet those needs. But what if we could go even further? What if we could match donations to those in need with just a single request, freeing up more time to focus on what truly matters, rebuilding lives? That's where Salesforce Agentforce comes in, a new generation of AI-powered agents designed to elevate how nonprofits operate. We'll start by asking our agent to supervise the distribution of essential items. $32,000 worth of goods focused on disaster recovery. The agent listens, assesses the context, and is ready to place the donation. Using advanced AI, Agentforce reviews all available data. It finds a match based on disaster recovery needs, scanning through over 100,000 nonprofits in just seconds. Today, we have 49 recommendations, and we're going to focus on a recipient we've worked with before. High Desert Second Chance. Rather than spending time searching manually, Agentforce instantly locates the account and recalls a past challenge we had. An order was cancelled. With the right information at our fingertips, we can easily make decisions. There's no delay, no waterlogged process, just efficiency. With a simple request, the agent schedules the next shipment, creating all necessary documentation without us having to remember the nonprofit's name or opportunity details. Agentforce does the heavy lifting, pulling in the right data so we don't have to. With resource matching agents, we've transformed how we allocate and ship donations, reducing waste, cutting our carbon footprint, and delivering disaster relief 3 times faster. This will save 5 employees over 1,000 hours annually, allowing them to focus on critical frontline response. We're on track to ship $4.5 billion worth of goods by the end of 2026. This is what AI was meant to be.
Okay, so Agentforce. Anybody that you talk to within Salesforce in the coming weeks, months, years is going to repeat that to you over and over again, because it is a massive shift, not just in how AI plugs into the things that our customers are already using, but more fundamentally, how they're engaging with our platforms and what they're building for their supporters to engage with them. So I want to first draw some clarifications. These agents, they're not typical of what maybe you've seen over the past bunch of years, but how is that so different? But in contrast to things like chatbots and copilots, which I would argue are now outdated given all the different innovations, agents do quite a bit more. They leverage the data in a different way and they take action a different way, where a chatbot or a copilot would have a pretty rigid script of actions to follow. If the question is this, answer this. If the follow-up is this, answer this. Once those chatbots and copilots go off script, there's no going anywhere. You're directing them to pick up the phone and talk to a representative or try to pivot around. Agentforce is built to use all of your data to have a more natural language, dynamic conversation as you're trying to build what you're trying to build. It offers a new level of sophistication, and it operates autonomously, retrieving the right data on demand, building action plans for any task, and executing those plans without requiring human intervention. Like a self-driving car, Agentforce uses real-time data to adapt to changing conditions, and it operates independently within an organization's custom guardrails, ensuring every supporter or team member interaction is informed, relevant, and valuable. And when desired, Agentforce hands off to the members of your team with a summary of the interaction and overview of, say, a supporter's details and recommendations of what to do next. But the question I'd be asking myself is, how can I not lose that human touch? Because I keep coming back to the fact that we want our people in that upper right part of the graph. We want that human touch in what we do more than I think any other sector. Nonprofits have that emotional component in so many instances. And there's a great story that I've just seen, which I think represents this perfectly of why that human touch is important. If anybody hasn't seen it yet, a couple of days ago in San Francisco, there was an amazing traffic jam. And there's a viral video of it, but essentially what happened is you had a delivery truck that was parked in a rather unorthodox way, and a series of autonomous driverless cars, their sensors couldn't figure out how to go around it. So all of a sudden you had a pile up of like 4 or 5 or 6 autonomous cars that just, if there were drivers in the car, super easy for them to go around and sort it all out. And the video is absolutely hilarious, but it perfectly summarizes why these things have to have that human at the helm. So you're going to need a responsible AI strategy, but you're also going to want to mitigate risk by having that human at the helm. And this is why I want to kind of bring my presentation to a bit of a close, just talking about how we look at that both within Salesforce for ourselves and how other organizations can maybe take that on and use that as a framework for themselves. So we have what's called the guidelines for responsible AI. And now, given the tremendous opportunities and challenges emerging in the space, we've built these trusted AI principles with this new set of guidelines that are focused on the responsible development and implementation of AI. Customer conversations, any conversations that you're having with an AI can bring potential harms into light. So we want to mitigate them in line with these guidelines. And here are the 5 that we use to guide our own development of these solutions. So first, you have accuracy. And what that means is we need to deliver verifiable results that balance accuracy, precision, and recall in the models by enabling our customers to train models on their own data. And we should communicate when there's uncertainty about the veracity of the AI's response and enable users to validate these responses. Again, that human at the helm. Now, this can be done by citing sources, explainability of why the AI gave the response, like a chain of thought prompt, or highlighting areas to double check, like statistics and recommendations and dates. But overall, this means creating guardrails that prevent some tasks from being fully automated, such as sending a type of communication to supporters without a human review. The second of these guidelines is safety. Now, as with all our AI models, we should make every effort to mitigate bias, toxicity, and harmful output by conducting bias explainability and robustness assessments and testing with red teaming. We must also protect the privacy of any personally identifying information present in the data used for training and create guardrails to prevent additional harm. Third is honesty. When collecting data to train and evaluate our models, we need to respect the data provenance and ensure that we have consent to use that data. And we must also be transparent that an AI has created content when it is autonomously delivered. An example of which you'll see at the very end when I put my thank you slide up on screen. Fourth is empowerment. There are cases where it's best to fully automate processes, of course, but there's other cases where AI should play a supporting role to the person, where human judgment is required. And we need to identify the appropriate balance of that so we can supercharge human capabilities and make these solutions accessible to all. And then finally, sustainability. As we strive to create more accurate models, we should develop right-size models where possible to reduce our carbon footprint. When it comes to AI models, larger doesn't always mean better. In some instances, smaller, better trained models outperform the larger, more sparsely trained models. We need to be smart by design, using vendors that are net zero and not using excessive energy. And now those are our principles, and those are what we develop against. But when I work with organizations, we take those principles and we work with them to create a way in which they can tailor those messages down to the specifics that are relevant to those organizations, to the mission, to the strategy, and to the organization as a whole. We want to leave organizations not with a great set of technology, but really with the guidance of how to bring the organization along that ride and make sure it's a safe ride. These are exciting capabilities, but to get the best outcomes, deciding how you will or will not use AI is equally as important as understanding what's possible. Now, as I round this off, I've made reference to this, but we've done this survey, and these resources are going to be coming your way. So there is a nonprofit trends report. Now, that was a survey completed with 1,036 respondents in late 2023, where they share their biggest challenges. And those included increasing demands for services, raising sufficient funds, and managing workload and staff well-being. I'm not going to pour over every statistic here, but these are freely available to you. There's QR codes on the screen. You can reach out to us. We will share those with you. You are more than welcome to pour through them. And there's also this nonprofit AI Readiness workbook, which contains even more than what I showed as we talked through today to really help nonprofits harness the best of this technology. And with that, I'm just going to say thank you with my AI-generated Einstein there. I appreciate all of your time. I appreciate your patience in listening to me talk. I hope there was coffee, so if my cheery Ted Lasso-like accent didn't keep you awake, that the coffee did. And I'm happy to help wherever we can. I know we may go through some questions now, but I'm always available. My team are always available to dive in to help. It is what we are tasked to do, and it's what we love to do. So with that, I will turn back over, I think, Lisa, to you to guide us to the next steps here.
Thank you very much, Patrick, for a very insightful presentation. I'll dive straight in. We have a couple of questions, so we'll be together till 10 past 10. So please do ask plenty of questions. I'll start with the first one from Alistair. So they've read quite a lot about the significant energy and power requirements that AI platforms require. And they wonder if this was something that is going to improve, because obviously it's a concern for our sector as a whole to be environmentally respectful. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. That is a fantastic question, Alistair. I couldn't agree with you more. There is nothing more uncomfortable, I would think, than sitting with an organization and I'll just say a Greenpeace or a World Wildlife Foundation, if your organization is completely off balance in their energy policy. Within Salesforce, we strive to be net zero. So all of our efforts are around, and there's loads of, we're quite transparent in that. So I can happily share resources on Salesforce specifically to our efforts to be net zero across this. That was true even before we went down this path with the GPT solutions. That the ways in which the different GPT solutions out there are consuming energy in terms of their server farms and their power consumption was something that is doubly a risk for us if we don't get that right. So it's a benchmark. It's why it's in those guidelines I showed you. And I would encourage you to challenge every single solution that you're considering around that sustainability. It's a great question, and I wholeheartedly support it.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much, Patrick. The other question that we have from Lewis is, have you got any platform recommendation? They're starting to use Notebook LM for report summaries, but they're keen to find out what else is out there.
Ooh, that's a really interesting one because there seems to be new ones popping up almost every day.
Yeah.
So I will disappoint you in that. There's no specific ones I'd recommend. The approach we've taken with this is that we have a bring your own LLM component to our solution. So when you get into how these solutions actually lay out from a technology perspective, there's a component called Data Cloud, which is kind of how you organize and get all your data in shape, so that the LLM internally within Salesforce can work on it. But the trick of it is you know, even if I made suggestions on platforms today, in 2 weeks, there'd be probably 10 others that would be even better. And in a year, forget it. It would be, you know, a completely different list. What I advise organizations to do is really go for the flexibility, you know, and that data cloud solution I suggested to you has the bring your own LLM approach, where you can safely connect outside LLMs into your data, but you can have the assurance that what's going on inside your data isn't going back out those four walls
Yep.
and being misused by those language models. So it's not quite an answer to your question about really great LLMs, and I have to apologize because I know I'm kind of dancing around that, but it's only because there's just way too many changes right now at the moment. So, but that's how I would approach it. That flexibility is massive.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Patrick, for your answers. I'm just checking whether we have any other questions, but it doesn't look like it is. I don't know whether you are staying around a little bit longer so that people can always reach out to you. But I know we have, yeah, we'd be delighted to welcome any other questions and share those with Patrick if you're thinking of a question right now and we don't have a chance to answer it. So please do share. Oh, actually, one last question that I'm trying to squeeze in. Can you suggest a starting point for understanding the breadth of how AI can be used in nonprofits? So, and I'm going to have a look at yes, so the video you showed was really helpful. And Michelle is looking for maybe an AI for dummies, really? So what sort of starting step would there be?
So I tend to look at the use cases I hear quite often. And when we get into a workshop with an organization, I start to look at first, what is the most time-consuming thing you have to deal with, especially if there's an emergency. And I know this isn't going to be relevant to every single nonprofit, but if there is all of a sudden a need to rapidly deploy a campaign. I come from a digital marketing background, so you'll please forgive me that that's the lens I see this through. But if in an instant I have to generate an email, a website, digital ads to go out to raise awareness or raise funding around a very specific, very time-sensitive issue, what is the thing that takes longest in that process? Is it writing the copy? Is it putting the segments together? Is it deciding on the channels, building the journeys? Those bits are low-hanging fruit. That's where I think, you know, AI can be really, really well used. And now I'm talking about more the generative side of AI. Predictive is a very much, you know, a different animal with data. But what are those low-hanging bits of fruit that you can go after in that emergency? That's where I think first, because I think you'll see the most immediate benefit.
Immediate benefit. Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Patrick. This is all we've got time for today, but I'm seeing plenty of other questions. So what we'll do, we'll make sure that if you're not around today to see them, we will share those with you, and we'll ensure that they are also included in the resources. Thank you very, very much for sharing your expertise and your time with us today. It's been really, really insightful, and yeah, we hope you also enjoyed yourself so early in the morning.
I did. Thank you so much. I enjoyed this event so much, and I appreciate your putting them on and inviting us. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Take care.
Take care.